Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soul Seekers podcast, where we believe that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure as we share our mission of mentorship is conservation. To learn more about everything we do, check out our show on Carbon TV or go to soulseekersnation.com. Freedom on, everybody, and stay soulful. Do you want to become a better shooter, reduce flinch, protect your ears, and just overall enjoy shooting your gun that much more? Then there's no better way to do that than by adding a suppressor to the end of your barrel. Be sure to check out Huxwrx Safety Co, as they are a leader in the suppressor world with their OSS Flow-Through Technology, virtually eliminating blowback and toxic gas that can affect weapon system performance and shooter health. To find out more about Huxwrx, go to huxwrx.com. That's huxwrx.com, and go get yourself a suppressor for your upcoming hunts. This podcast is also proudly brought to you by OnX Hunt. When I first got into hunting, I kept hearing all about public land and different access and how to find different locations to hunt. I was like, well, how are people even identifying all this stuff? Well, sure enough, I came across the number one hunting GPS app, and that is OnX Hunt. If you guys want to get better at hunting and go deeper into your scouting, OnX Hunt is the number one GPS app for that. Join the millions of hunters who trust OnX Hunt to find more game, discover new access, and hunt smarter. It was a game changer for me, and I know it's going to be a game changer for you if you've never used it. If you have used it, you know the power that it holds. Guys, I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you want to know more about OnX, go to onxmaps.com/hunt. and check out their app. Be blessed, freedom on, and stay soulful. All right, guys, if you're in the market for optics, I want you to go check out blackdiamondoptics.com. Black Diamond Optics offers world-class sporting and tactical optics, including thermals, all at wholesale pricing, direct to consumer. They are going to be partnering up with us for 2023, and I want to start pointing you over towards their direction. Check out Black Diamond Optics. If you've got any questions about it, shoot us a message. Love to hear from you. Be blessed, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack, and tonight I am joined by my dear brother in not only the Lord, but in freedom, in integrity, and honor. Dennis Stokes, one of the founders of Initial Ascent Backpacks, is here to do a Instagram live and a podcast recording tonight. And we're going to be talking all about spring bear hunting, backpacks, life, scouting, and so much more. Brother, so good to have you here. Thank you for joining us for another episode.
Thanks for having me, Johnny. Excited to be back with you. Excited to see your smiling face. I mean, it's awesome. Yeah.
It's contagious. I used to teach health. And when I talk about like the different aspects of health, spiritual, physical, intellectual, emotional, social, and vocational, I had to talk to these kids and be like, man, would you rather have a teacher up here just like frowning at you? Or would you rather have them smile at you? And they're like, well, yeah, smile. I was like, yeah, same thing. I don't want to look at a bunch of students frowning, like let's make it a good time. We got a lot to cover tonight, and it's going to be so much fun, D. You're up there in Idaho. I'm down here in the state of Texas, and we are going to pop off this podcast. And we're doing an Instagram live, so people are going to drop some questions here in the chat, and we'll cover that. And then I'll also make sure I cover the stuff that I want to get done. Somebody posted, "Are you excited for this coming bear hunt in Idaho?" If that's directed towards me because we're going next week, Dennis, aren't you going here in like 2 weeks?
I'm going as well, so I wasn't sure who that was going to, but I think we're all excited about that, right?
Oh, man. Bear hunting is the best, and doing it when you get to go on these overnight adventures, it's like, come on. Spring, dude, bear hunting is the best because the weather's always the best. You get that nice spring weather. You get that early summer or late summer, early fall weather. It's like, come on, can't beat it.
Right.
Can't beat it. So yeah, super excited. Can't wait to kind of tell you also, you feel like a celebrity, like in my own mind, when you fly in for a hunt. It's like, hey, I'm going to have my buddies pick me up at the airport, and we're going to fly in.
Right. I mean, do you halfway walk through the airport and kind of put your head down, put your hat so nobody will recognize you? I
Right.
mean, because you got to get somewhere, right? You got to get somewhere. You don't have time for pictures with kissing babies,
Y
pictures, autographs, all that stuff.
right,
Is that
right,
right? Is that how it
right.
is?
Like, "Oh, no. Don't no one recognize me." I'll tell you
That's right.
I'll tell you, I am not, uh, very well known except in my hometown. But I go anywhere. I don't know if it's because of a school teacher, I've educated so many human beings in this world, but man, I feel like getting out of the state of Washington was probably the best thing for me to just be able to breathe for a second, like, you know?
Right,
But,
right. I can imagine.
brother, what's new with Initial Ascent? From an outsider's perspective, I've been looking at you guys. You've been growing over the last couple years, and it looks like you're making a push. If not, you're already there to take over the backpack industry within the hunting realm.
Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, we're just continuing to put out good products and to try to touch the lives of every one of our customers in some way
Hmm.
on the positive, and it's just been so much fun, man. Things, usually May, June, July, August, well, now September, October are really slammed busy season, as far as selling things, sending packs out, and it's just been exceptional here. I mean, ever since Expo, because January is always slow.
Yeah.
It was every month has been just exceptional, and man, the folks out there that are buying our packs and just even showing the interest in our packs and asking the questions and everything, man, it's just awesome to see something that we brought from basically the dirt and and you know helping other people.
Right.
That's the cool thing about it. We got into this to make people's hunting experiences better, and what's that's what's happening, man. And it's growing fast, and we're trying to keep up and continue to produce good products.
Well, you guys are knocking it out of the park. I mean, so this last year, when we went on, Soul Seekers went on our bear hunt with you guys, which was epic. Which, by the way, all you
That's
listeners, season 3 of Soul Seekers on Carbon TV is dropping Tuesday, June 6th. And the first episode is going to be a spring bear episode with your man Dennis Stokes and Joe Ellison of Initial Ascent. We had some action. It was a fun hunt, learning experience for sure.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of bears too.
Yeah.
For a short period of time that we were in there. One of the things that I love about spring bear hunting, it seems like I'm always testing new gear.
Ah,
I don't know about you. I'm
right.
I'm always testing new gear. So spring bear is like the first opportunity I get to test new gear after the slow season. The slow season is really the busy season because we're trying to create new products. And I'm seeing what's new out there and buying what new tents are out there, maybe a sleeping bag, water filtration, all that stuff. So spring bear is when I get to really test a lot of stuff, and so this year's no exception. I'm just blessed to be able to get to maybe take off a few days um, and go. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm excited about that for
Well,
sure.
well, it was pretty cool last year getting to be out into the woods with you and see you put to test the 8K. And that
Yeah.
that was that the first real experience with the 8K that you guys had?
Yeah, one of them, because we had some other places, and that sort of thing. But yeah, that was the first real experience with it, and that's when you take it out there for that first run. It's you're not expected to be, this is our finished product. This is what we set out to do. You want to find those things that you freaking hate, and I found them. It was yeah, and then I heard from other guys that were testing that they hated it too, and so sometimes, designing this stuff, me and Joe, we kind of beat our heads against the wall because when we come up with it, we think that, hey, this is a great idea. This might work. And when it epically fails, um, it's a bad thing at the time,
Yeah.
but it's also a really good thing too. And when things fail, I want them to fail big time because that way you go ahead and put them to the side. But we were probably, I bet we were probably 75% after that hunt on that particular design, and it took us all through the fall and even some into this first quarter to dial in the rest of the changes for that 8K and stuff that we knew was tried and true, that sort of thing. It wasn't anything that was brand new that we were trying. It was just, I guess, brand new to us, really,
Yeah.
and doing some things some different ways. But yeah, it's been really good. The response to it's been amazing, and yeah, it's been a fun journey on that for sure.
Man, it's so cool. Um, when you create something, it's yours. Like this was an idea that came out of a necessity or a need or from, from something, and then to develop it and have it be tangible, and then you get
Yeah,
to use it, and then to see other people use it and thrive with it.
yeah.
That's gotta be a special feeling.
It really is. Every time Joe and I see the comments come in from reviews and different things, and we get emails all the time, saying, "Man, I just love this particular product," whatever it might be. That sort of thing that it just makes all of it worth it because it's really difficult and really, I mean, just really tough to bring something new to the market.
Yeah.
Because it just takes so much time and effort and frustration, lots of ups and downs. But then to finally see it out there and see those comments coming in, the pictures coming, and all that, boy, it's just really special, and it makes you want to do it more.
Yes. What's up, Soul Seekers Nation? Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really appreciate it. As a reward, I have some discount codes for you to use if you are in the market for a brand new hunting pack. Go check out initialascent.com and Initial Ascent packs. They are made in America. Their one-piece carbon frame is an absolute game changer. We run their packs. We love them. And you can save 5% at checkout by using the code SOULSEEKERS. That's all one word. Also, for those of you who are archery hunters and you are tired of shooting at dots on a target, check out deadnutsoutdoors.com for their lifelike 2D archery targets. You can save 20% on all of their products by using the code SOULSEEKERS at checkout. Once again, the code is SOULSEEKERS, all one word. Go check out initialascent.com and Dead Nuts Outdoors. Enjoy the podcast. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. This idea of wanting to do it more. I've gone through a whole life journey of like the scandemic and state of Washington, and that kind of lighting the fire under me to move to the state of Texas. And you got your own things going on over 2022 and 2023 and whatnot. I want to talk a little bit about inspiration versus motivation, right?
Okay.
There's you're talking about, motivating you and developing something. I always like to think about like what gets people out of bed, what really like gets them to tick, because in my own personal journey, like I've settled back into teaching even though I didn't really want to. But ultimately, I know what I want, and I want family time. And if that's going to provide me that family time, then I'll
Mhm.
sacrifice money or other things in order to have that
Yeah.
experience with my children. When it comes to you, whether it's personally, business, hobbies, passions, whatever, how do you view inspiration or motivation, or what keeps you going when the times are down. The times are hard. You know, people love to use the word grind when we're just grinding and the suck fest is kicking in.
Yeah.
What keeps you grounded?
You know, I mean, inspiration comes from a lot of places, right? And I think keeping the excitement going. Um, I'll give you a great example. This was just this weekend. Okay, went off. I actually got to get away. Joe and I got to get away on a turkey hunt over in Oregon, and with some really great dudes, and we just had a blast. We Nobody notched a tag. It was tough hunting, but that would have only been the icing on the cake, right?
Hmm.
We just had a great time, with fellow brothers, and it was amazing. But on the way home, I started getting in my own little world, and of course, I was tired and everything, but I don't know. I started getting into this funk, and I remained in this funk that I had no idea why I was there. And I was talking to my wife, and I was like, I'm dreading this week. What's going on? I've got so much waiting on me when I get back. Um, it's like back to real life, right?
Hmm.
And I'm I'm okay with getting back to real life because I enjoy what I do. But it was just this time where I had no motivation.
Yeah.
And because of the motivation, my inspiration had gone as well. And I was just drained.
Yeah.
I was just physically, mentally drained. And but I woke up this morning, and the way I start every morning is I get in the word and I do my devotion. And I got up this morning in the spirit of, okay, today's a new day. I don't know what happened yesterday,
Yeah.
but today's a new day. And man, by the time I got in my truck and I'm going this morning, going to work, um, everything's changed.
Yeah.
And I think the driving factor of that motivational change for me was getting in that devotion this morning. And that's just me personally. I mean, that's what works for me. And that's what drives me. That's what drives my inspiration. Um, a big thing about this business is if I want to touch people's lives one pack at a time.
Yeah.
And you know Joe and I, we've got this note card that we send out with every single order. um, and it's got a little prayer that Joe wrote. And man, it's just amazing. And I catch myself from time to time just reading that prayer, and it's just something simple, but it's reaching out. It tells people where we're at. But if that handwritten note with every order brings just a little something special to their day, I mean, if they've ordered a pack, they're excited about getting that pack in, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so that in itself obviously can brighten a day, it can brighten a week. But maybe given just that little extra. So that right there, knowing that I got to do that today, I got to write a bunch of those letters, trying to catch up from being gone the last 3 or 4 days. Um, that was huge inspiration.
Yeah.
So
I
within the business, and that's not what a lot of people don't know that,
yeah, right.
but that that just drives me. And my day got better with every single note that I wrote, and yeah, absolutely,
Let's
and
go.
every package that I packed up to send off.
Yeah.
And that right there drives me. It's going to
Yes.
drive me to tomorrow
Because
and fill those orders
you
tomorrow.
can't outgive good. When you start just being like,
Amen.
okay, I'm going to put good out into the world. I'm going to just do it. I don't want to. I'm feeling lazy. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling angry. Whatever emotion it is that you're experiencing at that point, just that one step, that first moment of like, okay. And then all of a sudden that groove happens and it's like,
Yeah.
yes. I can tell you as a recipient of one of your letters, I still have your card that you wrote that came along with the backpack. Like,
Yeah.
the I don't know how many people are on this IG live right now, or people have listened that have ordered a pack from you, but I keep my card and I still look at it and I'm like, dude, it's so awesome, especially in today's world of automation, right? AI
Yeah.
driven everything, that there's a real life human being that experiences emotions and has ups and downs and trials and tribulations and joys and heartache uh, behind it, right? It's like when you message somebody on Instagram, you actually are getting someone, not just
Right.
I think that's also what sets you guys apart as far as a company, but it's really awesome to hear that that's the foundation of your day, and this is what gets you going and keeps you going. Those those moments where we get into those moods, it happens, and it's hard to shake.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. As a thank you, I got more discount codes for all of you. If you are in the market for anything in regards to calls, whether it's elk calls, turkey calls, deer or predator calls, you can save 15% on all Rocky Mountain hunting calls by using the code Soul Seekers. That's all one word. And if you're in the market for hard side hydration, a better way to hydrate, go check out hardsidehydration.com. Use the code SoulSeekers10 to save 10%. And we also have a discount at Graxaw.com. That is, Graxaw is the leader in ultralight game bags and other backcountry gear. Light, fast, and efficient is their motto. Use the code SoulSeekers, all one word, to save 10% at checkout.
It's
It is.
it's
And
very hard
and
to
you
shake.
don't know what did it. And that frustrates me to no end. Is I don't know what got me there.
Yeah,
I know what was behind it,
yeah,
you know, but I don't know what here on earth got me there. And I just can't explain it. But um, yeah, being able to work through that um, is sometimes very difficult.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I tell you what, just seeing and I get responses. Joe and I get emails very often, and they mention that note,
Hmm.
and that just means the world to us. I
Yeah.
even had a guy the other day that he emailed me and then wanted to visit, and so I called him, and because he said he had this idea, and he said, "Man," he said, "when I read that prayer that came with my pack," he
Mm.
said, "that brought me back to a prayer that I had written 3 or 4 years ago," and he said, "I would like to, because a lot of guys are gone on Sunday
Yeah.
in the woods, and he believes that he can have his church, anywhere, and I believe that too, um, to a certain point. But he was like, in order to get that fellowship with other brothers, wouldn't it be cool if we could like schedule um 12 o'clock Mountain Time on Sunday, take 2 minutes and read this prayer while you're sitting up there on the hill.
Yeah.
And to know that, a number of guys are doing it at the same time.
Right.
Um,
Right.
he's like, how cool would that be? I'm like, man, that's just a great idea.
Yeah.
But the fact that that touched him and made him go back in his files, and remember what he did, and then he wanted to push that forward, was that goes way beyond packs. That
Yeah.
goes way beyond hunting gear. Um, that's to the soul right there. And man,
Amen.
that meant so much to me.
Well,
Um,
isn't everything just a physical manifestation of the inner heart of mankind, anyways? Right.
it needs to be. If
It-
it's not, it needs to be.
right? Like, I do this podcast not because I'm like, oh, dude, I can't wait to podcast tonight, but because I get to have conversations like this and get to the heart of people, right? And,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
hit the why and what's ticking. Yeah, it's there's the saying, like, do one thing a day that makes you better? Just one thing. Don't think about all the things that you didn't do or that you failed at or that you really
Yep.
had a hard time with. But did you do one thing that made you a better human today? I did a podcast not too long ago with Johnny L. Sasser. He is a former Army Ranger and podcast host himself, but he just authored a book that just came out called Design the Man Within. And I was telling him, I was like, man, over my year of moving and stress and anxiety of different things like that, like I just don't feel like I've taken the best physical care of myself that I want to. I go, but I know that I need to. And he's like, yeah, you need to. He goes, do you want to have a life with your children still? Every moment that you're not taking care of your own body is a moment in which you're cutting years off your life. And I was like, doggone it, you're right. And so I told him, I was like, yeah, well, the one thing that I want to do is, and have been, I started is 100 push-ups every day. Not whether it's like 1 through 100, but it's like maybe 10 here, 5 here, 20 here. But actually dropping to the ground and getting in push-up position
hmm
does something for your psyche.
It does. It says,
and
"Here we go."
Yep. And I will tell you that I've hit 100 push-ups every day since, and I feel so much better in other ways, because now all of a sudden it's like, well, that didn't really take that long. It doesn't take that long to do 100 push-ups. Maybe 5 minutes at the most if you stretch it out and rest, maybe longer. But the point of that is that one thing. I focus just on that one thing, and
Yeah.
now it's causing me to feel accountable to myself. I'm holding myself
Yeah.
accountable, and I'm progressing. Just like a protractor, right? That 1 degree might not look like very much when you're really close to the start, but 1 degree of separation, when you extend it out 90 days, 180 days,
Right.
365 days, and just 10 years, you've made some serious progress.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. No, absolutely. That's what I strive to do every day. Is I strive to be a better man every day. I strive to be a better husband, a better father, and just an overall better man. And um, some days it's more difficult than others. But you know what? If you don't give up and you continue to strive, um, man, you imagine the good that comes out of that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Um,
Dude, I mean, the cliche, right? I don't have it. I used to have it in my office, but I actually have it above my dining room table for my children to read now that they're getting
oh
old enough to read. But it's the man in the arena quote,
yeah,
right? It's the man who dares valiantly, who strives, who errs, who errs again. But it doesn't matter about all that, because it's the man who actually is in the arena, who
that's right.
is putting himself through hardships and challenges, and there's no effort without error. And just a reminder, like, okay, let's ground ourselves. It's so easy to get caught up in the hype of social media or making more money or being unhappy with where we are. Like, as a father specifically, and this is one of the big things that I've had to adjust my thinking on over the last couple of years, is I'm always like, oh man, I can't wait till this. I can't wait till my kids are old enough. I can't wait till they can do this with me. And that's
Right.
awesome. But my issue was that I was missing the present with them.
Today.
Yes. Yeah. And so often we're like, oh, I got to train for this and get ready for this and yada, yada. At the same time, it's like, man, I just want to be here and be present and be the best person right now and be in accountability with myself,
Yep.
so that I can lead by example and demonstrate and set a path forward, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, man, we got deep real quick, D.
Sorry, man.
I freaking love it. Don't apologize. This is the old Soulful Hunter coming out right here, just
Right.
just getting it. Hey, we're going to church on a Monday night, everybody. I hope you guys are ready. um, what do you do for accountability in your own life? Do you have an accountability program or somebody that you are like, hey, checking in, or what do you do?
Um, I really don't have I don't have anybody that, I mean, other than my wife, um, that I'm accountable, or that I challenge to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
Um, I'll be honest with you. I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror,
Mm,
and I basically look at myself and just say, what are you going to do to make yourself better today?
yeah.
And I may not have an answer to that question right then,
Yeah.
but it's the guy in the mirror. And and then I'm accountable. I'm accountable to my God, and so that devotion in the morning, he holds me accountable for getting that done, and my day goes better, clearly proven by today,
Yeah.
where it just clearly went better, because of that. And so, yeah, I guess I haven't thought about that a ton, but I probably, and Joe and I, we hold each other accountable as well. We don't really, I don't know, it's not planned out or anything like that, but I mean, we work really, really well together, and communicate really well. And so I'm very thankful for a partner like Joe,
Yeah.
because I mean, yeah, he's a guy that I look up to for, for wisdom, and um, it's just, and for accountability as well, I guess. It just, we keep each other, in check, and it's so awesome to have a business partnership, and ours was grounded on friendship, and still is. Um, so I think that's probably the most important part of our
Yeah.
relationship, without a doubt. Um, and we believe in the same things,
Hmm.
that helps. And so, yeah.
Accountability is so interesting. A lot of people they don't have enough integrity to hold themselves accountable, right? It's like
Sure.
what do you like when no one's looking? At the same time, to have true accountability, you need to be vulnerable.
You do.
You need to be able to say, okay, I'm not at I'm not at the tip of the spear today. I'm not, let's go.
Hmm.
But at the same time, being a leader and be like, let's go, baby. Come on. Come on, D. Get going, baby. What, you want to pray? You need some time, want some support, like being there. And how this all ties into hunting is ultimately when we're out there, like we have to constantly overcome the inner demons in our head of I get super down on myself mentally. Like, I'm not seeing animals, or I missed a shot, or I'm struggling. And so, like, figuring out where I am and what is my purpose, going back to that why, the motivation and inspiration is like what keeps us going, what keeps us focused and on task.
Yeah.
Because, it the minute that we lose sight is like Peter on the water, right? You take your eyes off that goal and you start sinking in this
Yeah.
world very
Yeah,
quickly.
for sure.
So, um, we need to make sure that we have a focus.
Yeah.
You start.
And
Oh, go ahead.
no, and I was just going to say, and that focus can be as simple, if you just picture yourself walking up to the top of the ridge, or making that last trip of that pack out, and having to get out of that nasty hole
Hmm.
with all that weight. You could simply focus on one step, the next step, the next step, just one step at a time. It can be as simple as that. But when you string all those steps together, next thing you know, you're back at the truck,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Totally, 100%. Um, golly, I freaking love it. You know, I was there was you're a f- a lot of people probably don't know this about you. You're a college football player. You played.
No, I was a college football player way back, way back when they would let folks like me on the team.
Yeah, please. Dude, you got to have some mental toughness and tenacity to be able to play football and play it at a high level, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, for
there
sure.
was out of the state of Washington, there's a Hall of Fame football coach by the name of Frosty Westering, and he
Hmm.
coached Pacific Lutheran University, it's a D3 school, and I got to hear him speak a few different times, and I love it because a lot of people don't really put this into words the way he did. And I want to share it with you because you being a fellow football guy and it just ties in so great, especially to what you just said about the whole one step at a time and eventually you're just at the truck. He was like, "All right, everybody, you are either going to be in the red car or the blue car." And everybody wants to be in that red car because it looks nice, it looks fast, it's shiny, it catches your eye. But that red car is so concerned about that end destination that it wants to go as fast as it can and take any shortcut and break any rule to get to that end destination because it's the red car. It's supposed to win. He goes, and then there's the blue car. And the blue car is not so shiny, not so flashy. It doesn't, get the looks like the red car does, but it's consistent and it stays the course and it enjoys the journey along the way. And he always was talking about how we need to get out of the red car and we need to get into the blue car because ultimately we're going to get to that destination. That car's not broken. That blue car may not look as nice, but it's still going to get us there. And it was always a reminder, is like, okay, slow down, be present in the moment, and let's enjoy this journey because why are we doing it if we're only out there for the end destination, the end goal, which has its purpose at times, like then we're going to be like, "Oh man, I'm missing these moments with my children. I'm missing this moment with my wife. I'm not enjoying this hunt because all I want is an animal down. Like if I can't lay hands on antlers or hide or whatever, it's like I'm not doing it right." It's like we need to be complete beings and stay humble and grounded so that we can enjoy the journey. Get in the blue car.
Absolutely.
Get
Yep.
in the blue car. So, have
I
you ever?
like that, man.
I probably just straight butchered it, but as
No,
you
I like
as
that.
you can tell, I'm working on my on my motivational speaking skills.
Dude, you got skills, man. You wake up with skills.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're too kind. So let's shift gears here for a second. Let's talk hunting
Okay.
solely. Um, Spring
Okay.
Bear's coming up. You're going out here in a couple weeks. Are you going to a brand new location?
Yeah, it'll be new to me, a place I've never been.
Okay. So let's talk scouting here for Spring Bear scouting.
Okay.
When you are pursuing an animal, let's use Spring Bear for example, and you're like, okay, I want to go into an area. Never been, haven't laid eyes on it, don't have history with an area to know like what drainages are holding animals or any of that. What are the first couple things that you are looking for when it comes to scouting that people of this podcast can listen to and take away and apply this spring?
Yeah, well, it depends. It depends on the time in the spring that you're going to go. First of all, you know, one of the biggest things is, and depending on what elevation you're at and all that, and how much snow there was, um, and how fast the green up is. You know, I'm typically, especially early spring, mid spring, I'm going to follow that green wave, right? I'm gonna look at those south facing slopes, and I'm gonna take and follow where I know those bears are gonna be. And of course, when you talk about going out, like I'm gonna be in like June 4th, I think is when I'm headed out. Um, the game's changing then because most places, you're kind of on the back end of that, right? And the bears are starting to do different things. Like it's coming into the breeding season,
Mm-hmm.
and so you're gonna have these boars that are moving, and they're going to be chasing sows and all of that. So it's a different game when it comes to that. So you know, for me on on that, I'm going to look for like dark timber type stuff. I'm going to look for timber that that's broken, and places where that green grass can obviously come up and stay the longest and not get burnt out real quick. Um, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at places, and especially if the snow's going to be around. Um, Early on, I'm looking for places that I'm going to start about 1,000 feet below that snow line, and then kind of work my way up because I know that they're going to be, somewhere below that snow line, probably about 1,000 feet, 500 to 1,000 feet, because that's where it's going to start to green up and all of that. So um, obviously, trying to scout vantage points to where I can see the most country that I can. Um, and then, yeah, just then get going and get boots on the ground. So,
Right. Now, last year on our hunt, the way
mhm.
we hunted mid-May, the weather,
Yep.
it wasn't that green yet. Animals were on the move. We saw some bears, but we didn't see bears necessarily where we wanted to. And I think that
Right.
was one of the big things of our hunts is it was that it's like, oh, they're not in the best killable locations. We hunted from low to high last year. Do you actually prefer to get high and get vantage and then glass down?
Yep. I typically do. The place where we went last year, we've had a lot of luck finding those bears low, because it greens up down there, because there's a creek in the bottom down there. It greens up, and we kind of know where those bears, are hanging out and whatnot. So um, that's kind of the reason we did it that way. And we did see what 7, 8 bears on
Mm-hmm.
that trip,
Right.
which I mean, it wasn't a ton, but we saw a few, but we did see a lot of sows and cubs too. We were, I think, in that particular year in that particular spot, we were probably maybe a week early, something like that.
Yep.
Because I actually had somebody go in there about 10 days later to that same area, and it was a different story.
Yep.
Yeah, because that remember the week we went in there, they had 6 inches of snow on the ground the Monday that we went in there.
Yep.
So that was only 2, 3 days after we only went in there 2, 3 days afterwards.
Yeah.
And so, I think it had started greening a little bit before that snowstorm came in,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that was. We were even curious if we were going to be able to get in there.
I remember
Remember?
that. I remember that.
So,
I
yep.
prefer to hunt later in May, early
Mhm.
June. Yes, the bears are going to be on the move a whole lot more, so you might not find one just camped out in a drainage
Yep.
like you would mid-May or whatnot. But I feel like they're just. I love animals on the move because, like, okay, it's like a goodie bag. I don't know what's going to show up the next day. I know this is a good area. It has it has food, water, shelter. Um, so yes, you never know. But I will say that in my experiences getting out in the springtime as well, that end of May, beginning of June, you're seeing a more of a mix of the boars and the sows,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, for
which I
sure.
love. I also shot a spring bear on June 5th, 6.5 with my 6.5, my man bun. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, I just had to throw that out there. I don't know why I just thought of that, but cracking me up.
It just came to you.
Yeah. So you're getting out. How many days do you like to dedicate to a hunt? Because this is I learned from Ryan Lampers. Because I was like, dude,
Mhm.
you dirty dog. Granted, he's been hunting his entire life. Like he's really good. And I'm like, how do you make sure you're always killing like these big mature animals? He's like, well, I don't really ever go on a hunt unless I can dedicate a minimum of 7 days to it. I'm like, that makes sense then, because you get a good inventory of what's around you. He goes, yeah, but I
Yeah.
actually prefer 10 days. I'm like, all right. So
Mhm.
what us weekend warrior folk who are going out for 2 to 3 days at a time, it really puts things into perspective. It's like you take what you can get and you do the most with the short amount of time that you have. So
Yeah.
how long of a hunt are you going on, and how long do you like to typically go?
Well, I'll say I would like to go as long as possible,
Right.
because the more days you have out there, the more opportunities you're going to have.
Hmm.
And to your point, if you're a weekend warrior, it's not impossible. It's just everything has to work out right, and you're just going to have less opportunity. And so Ryan and the way they're able to do that, and Ryan has, I mean, he has worked his whole life around getting to go and take that time off. He's built a life for himself to where he can do that. And that's just so awesome as a hunter,
Hmm.
because if you can go out there for 10 days, number one, you're going to have tons of opportunities. Number two, you're going to have time to change the game plan if things aren't working out.
Right.
Um, I mean, if you're backpacking in somewhere for 3 days and you're not in the right place and things just aren't happening there, your hunt is basically done. I
Y-
mean, it's not like you can pivot and go, 20 miles to another area and backpack in and get the opportunities that you need.
Yeah.
Um, so, that's where you hear a lot of these elk hunters talking about the importance of staying mobile and being able to cover lots and lots of country.
Hmm.
Um, and I've been actually thinking about that myself a lot, here lately, especially as I get older. I mean, I there's nothing more that I love than backpacking in for a hunt, but there are drawbacks to it. And yeah, I'm tough. I can go in there and put the miles on and cover the country, but if you get in there and the animals had a different idea and decided they were going to be somewhere else partying,
Yep.
well, you're going to miss the party if you're not mobile, or you're going to have to add days to your hunt.
So this is one of the things that when I coming up with spring bear location for this coming year was really identifying, do we want to hunt near logging roads or do we want to backpack in? Because time is limited. You
Mhm.
see, if you see like Montana-ish spring bear, you see a lot of people shooting bears off of logging roads, and that's where that fresh growth is going to start hitting in the springtime and the edges of
Mhm.
roads and all that. The issue is though, is like, okay, what type of hunt do you actually want? Because there's a lot to be said about just going out to backpack because it's fun to do and to be able to hunt at the same time. And so I was talking with Tony and Will, and we came up with one of the spots that I just it looked really good online, and there's
Mhm.
roads all over the place. And I was like, all right, are we gonna run into people who have bait sites up in there? Idaho, you can hound hunt, correct? Right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so are we gonna run into hound hunters? Like that's one of the things where if you're gonna set up a base camp or road hunt to that extent, it's like I don't know, being out in nature, I feel like has that call on the soul that much more. But it is very important on like how much time do you have and what can you get away with? Do you have an
Right.
e-bike or are you mountain biking in dirt? Last year, dirt bikes rode by us on the trail. I was like, that's a great idea.
You know what? That's a great idea for some people, but I tried that deal for a solid year. And granted, now, and I won't digress too much here, but I had never been allowed as a young man growing up in Florida by my parents to own a motorcycle. And so I had not spent much time on one. I think I spent one afternoon when I was 13 years old on a little mini motorcycle that I was sure I could put my feet down and catch myself if I was about to crash. So I bought this motorcycle at this guy that I knew. He talked me into this motorcycle. He showed me how to gear it down. He was like, "Oh man, this is great. You'll be fine on this, But dude, I white knuckled all the time with that. And I'm okay on the dirt roads, I'm okay on the logging roads. But when you put me on a little trail on the side of a mountain, what?
Right.
I kid you not. So I went to that same place that you and I and Will, Tony went, and Joe, and I rode that doggone dirt bike in there. And let me tell you something. I parked that sucker about halfway in. I was so boogered by it. I parked that sucker and left it and was scared to death to get it and ride it back. I actually called my son, bless his heart, who is he started riding motorcycles the same time I did, but he had he was just good at it, just natural. He had that no fear mentality, and he got really good at it. I even called him and said, "Hey man, I need you to come in here and help me."
Right.
dude, dude drove 3 hours and came in there, backpacked in there, stayed with us for a couple days, and then he was the one that rode that sucker out, not me. He rode
Oh,
it out. I was scared,
dude.
and so what did I do? That next week, I put it on Marketplace and got rid of it.
Oh man. Okay, so I have uh a different story, but kind of similar. Um, we grow up, I would say a majority of humans grow up with a bicycle at some point in their life. Like they hop on a bicycle and they pedal it. They're used to,
Oh yeah,
there's the saying, it's like riding a bike, you never forget it. Well, so I bought a mountain bike and I wanted to go ride some single track, and I'm getting used to it. I'm having fun, just taking some turns, all this. I ride this track and there's a little bit of a washout, and I should have stayed high on it because then I wouldn't get caught in that washout. But it was on a little bit of a cliffy area, and I'm naturally right-handed. No, I'm right-handed, but I always like to put my left foot down on my
Mhm.
bicycle. Well, because also on a dirt bike, that's where the kickstand is as well. So you always it leans to the left. So the hill's going down to my left, and I didn't stay high enough. I got caught in that rut. I knew I couldn't ride out, and I stopped. And I was like, oh, dang it. I need to put my foot down. And I put my foot down on the downhill side. And me and that
Oh boy.
bike just went like 50 feet down, nothing but nettles, and head to toe just stinging. My whole body was just lit. I was like, oh, that was a horrible decision. So I know that's not a dirt bike, but I totally understand. Like, if you're not experienced and technical on your riding, it sounds like a great idea until you have a backpack on your back and your balance isn't the same. And you
See,
know,
that's the thing. Nobody told me that when you put weight on the back, that your front wouldn't have as much control.
right,
And me, I'm trying to limp along, and I'm looking right down in front of my tire, which is the wrong thing to do, apparently,
hmm,
according to experienced riders. Um, so I the best thing to do, they say, is go fast.
yeah,
I was too scared to go fast. I'm too scared to. I'm being comfortable. I'm trying to be cautious. Well, apparently, cautious is not what you want to be riding a motorcycle, especially with a 50-pound pack on your back.
right. Oh, dude. Yeah.
So, dude, you know that place? Remember where we put our hands together, like right at the beginning of the trip?
Mm-hmm.
On that hike, we put our hands together and took a picture right there at
Yeah.
the beginning of the trail.
Yeah.
Well, right after that, there is a it was a there was a log at the end, like some rocks, and then it made a huge right hand turn. You remember that?
Sure do.
And it started zigzagging up the trail. Well, at that place where those rocks go up, I flipped that bike over on top of myself, and I wasn't 20 yards into the trail. So so that that's why I was so boogered about riding that thing. Now, as my dad always told me, you get bucked off, you get back on,
Right.
right? I did. I got back on, but it wasn't long before I parked that sucker and walked the rest of the way, like I should have been doing in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
yeah. There's a difference between wisdom and toughness, right?
Yeah. And as you get older, one starts to take over the other.
Ain't that truth? Ain't that the truth?
That's right.
So yeah, identifying the spring bear locations between whether I want to backpack in or or like have be mobile at the truck or whatnot is really interesting. I decided I wanted to backpack. But we're also bringing a mentee, so I want to give him the experience of like, all right, we're putting on. He's going to be wearing an initial scent pack. He he actually got to borrow one of mine on one of his hunts that he did this last fall. He's been get you know East Coast Central states, the whitetail hunts. Going west and being a western big game hunter is so different. It is
Oh yeah.
it is
Oh
it's a trip. So putting them in a
yeah.
backpack, I'm like, hey, you're gonna want this. So I can't wait to put them in that and just get out there and now I try to figure out. I really didn't realize how good public land is. I wouldn't trade it for the politics, I'll tell you that. But the concept of public land, um, is so nice. Like being down here in Texas, I just want to go on a hike, or I want to go on a hunt, or I want to shoot my gun. Everything costs money down here in the state
Wow.
of Texas. So this idea of public land, don't take it for granted. Enjoy it, protect it, but also make sure you protect all the other rights that go along with it because, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. I grew up in Florida and it was the same way. I mean, just tons of private land, and we didn't have the same luxuries as we do out here. So it was pretty awesome to come out here, 180-degree turnaround from what I was used to. Um, oh my word! So yeah, just learning how to hunt, and I'm still learning how to hunt out here. It's still, after being out here 23 years, it's still, I'm learning, so much every year, from a lot of folks. And that's one thing about this community is that's so great. There are so many people that are willing to help if
mhm.
you just ask. Right? I mean, so many of these guys are so approachable. Like the Ryan Lampers. He's
Like the
just,
Dennis Stokes.
well, I don't consider myself. I got a couple of things to offer, but I definitely don't consider myself anywhere in the same zip code as that guy. But I got to spend some time with Zach Bohe this weekend, and Zach, he was part of Western Hunter. He writes still for Bow Hunting Magazine. That guy is just he is just a stud of a hunter and of a dude. And I got to pick his brain about a lot of stuff this weekend,
Yeah.
which was really cool. And he was very, very willing to, you know, share his knowledge.
Hmm.
And there's so many guys out there that are like that. And that's one reason why this community is just really cool. A lot of people want to help. So for new hunters, mentees like you're talking about, this thing is wide open with information and people who want to help you.
Yeah. It just takes time and putting yourself out there, right?
It does.
Getting
It
a
does.
getting a random phone call or a text message might not. You got to build the relationships. You got to put in the time
Mhm.
and the effort, get to know people, and then as soon as you know people, it's like, all right, what can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I support you? How can we put you on animals? Um, Will and Tony, I unfortunately am not going to make it this year. They're heading down to Utah, and they're going to go on an archery elk hunt. And we made great friends with, shout out to Jake Olson, by the way. Jake Olson, he's a farrier in Utah, and he's a volunteer with the Mule Deer Foundation. Packs in horses, all this stuff. He's like, man, you guys want to shoot an elk? He kind of has a little bit of, I don't know if you call it a Utah accent, country accent. Like, oh man, you guys want to shoot an elk? Shoot, just come on down. I'll put you on it. You can even stay in my trailer, and we'll get the horses. We'll pack it out. I'm like, yes. And
Wow.
and for that to happen, it took putting in effort and humility and being willing to
Sure.
get in with people rather than just being an observer. When we're
Yeah.
just an observer in life, it's boring. You don't learn much, and ultimately, it's not going to be as rewarding.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
That's right.
hey, so shifting gears real quick, new gear, initial scent. You guys came out with the pillow, the pillow pocket, the pocket pillow. I
The
don't-
pocket pillow.
the bag that you can attach to the outside of your bag for
Yeah, the cub.
the cub. Sorry.
Yep.
The pocket
No,
pillow.
that's all right. Which you can use it as a pillow. Now, I'm not sure where the pocket came from because you can't stuff it in your pocket. But yeah, the cub is and we used that this weekend actually on the turkey hunt, and it served a couple of purposes, man. You can not only haul, it's got 700 cubic inches, and you can haul just a little bit of extra gear, and it attaches to any of our bags, but actually, even if you don't have one of our packs, the Cub still attaches to every pack out there because of the attachment points there. So, but you can use it as extra storage, and you can also use it as a seat, as a pillow. I mean, it's
Put
just
extra
really
snacks in
versatile.
it.
Extra snacks, yeah, absolutely.
The the
So
the cub is extraordinary.
I
It's
love it. I really do. And the more I use it, just the better it gets. So I'm really excited about that. The large hip belt pouch, we put out a YouTube short yesterday with Joe telling us what was in his large hip belt pouch, and we had a lot of fun with that. Boy, I didn't know what all that guy could fit in the large hip belt pouch, but man,
he's like a magician. It
he
just keeps coming.
it's like Hermione's bag, it just keeps pulling stuff out of it. Or somebody told me today, Mary Poppins sack,
Yes.
so that's the original one. Just pulling all kinds of stuff out of there. So it was pretty awesome. That's been a cool accessory for us. The 8K obviously. Um, so it's been a lot of fun bringing some of those new things to light.
Yeah. And not only that, but it's all made in America.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir. That's been
Yes, sir.
that's been a little tough. Um, that
It is tough.
it's got to be
Yeah.
tough to make stuff consistently in America with the way that the world's going.
It absolutely is. Yeah. I mean, whether you talk about our government or what have you, or just the willingness of people to get out of bed and go do something productive, that they actually get paid wages for.
Right.
Um, that's we're losing it as a country. It seems like people are. It's sad. It really is.
Yeah.
And but there's still a lot of good people out there, a lot of good businesses that even small shops, that are doing really good work, and we've been fortunate enough to find some of those. It's been a real challenge at times, for sure, but yeah, we've been blessed with finding some of those slower, smaller shops, that can take their time. They can do really good work and yet produce good products. So
I love it. I love it. What do you got going on this fall? You got a spring bear hunt June 4th, but this
Yep.
fall, you got any plans?
Yeah, I'll be in the last couple years. It's been a little bit tough, but I've got a Idaho elk hunt, just general elk hunt plan. I'm going to Montana. I drew as a non-resident there, a bull elk tag, just a general tag, but still got invited up there by my good friends from Red Patch Outdoors, and we're gonna go and see if we can't make it happen in September, the end of September. So that'll be fun. And then in October, probably general deer, depending on if I draw. We've got our draw that closes on June 5th. So I'll be putting in here in a couple days for a deer hunt in here. And so depending on what that looks like, I'll either be doing, hopefully something that I draw or a general deer tag here in Idaho. And then November, actually, no, I take that back. I got my things mixed up there. I apologize. I'm actually putting in for an unlimited draw tag
Ooh.
that I did last year. And yeah, so I'll be in a place backcountry in November hunting this year. So just like it was last year. It's a blast.
Awesome.
So I forgot all about that. I got to write that down because here I'm going to put in for another hunt and I'm going to do that one. Oh my gosh!
Can't double
Joe and I are
book
going to
yourself.
do that together too. So
There you go.
That's going to be it's going to be really special, man. I went on it last year with a buddy of mine, and he's actually going to go this year and go to another area. And I wanted to try out that same area that we went to last year and explore it a little bit more. And so Joe's going to go with me this year, and we're gonna hopefully go kill a couple of backcountry bucks. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey,
Yep.
I just want to tell you right now, even though this is just a podcast or it's just an Instagram live, this verse just it shouts to me and you right now. So Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. You sharpen
Yes,
me,
sir.
D, Puffy D, and this is why staying in community is so powerful, brother. I'm honored that you came
Same here,
on here
brother.
tonight. Truly humbled. All you listeners out there, if you guys are looking for a backpack or you want any accessories, Dennis and Joe have blessed Soul Seekers enough to give us a discount code. You can use the code Soul Seekers, all one word, and save yourself some money on a new pack. But ultimately, you're going to want to see Puffy D in action. June 6th, launching season 3 of Soul Seekers is going to be awesome. Episode 1, get to see the initial ascent crew. Brother, any final words you want to drop before we get out of here?
Oh, I just I appreciate everybody out there that's been watching. Appreciate all the customers. Man, we couldn't be doing what we're doing without the customers. And yeah, if you want to check us out, go to our website initialscent.com. And if you want to if you have any questions or want to talk to us, you're going to talk to an owner. You're going to get a response back from Joe or myself, and we'd be glad to help you. We love hearing from folks. And so, reach out to us. And everybody had a good season.
Go get yourself a handwritten note. It brightens the day, right? Let's
That's
go.
right, man.
Let's
That's right.
go. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. Remember that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure, and that you can never outgive good, as mentorship is conservation. I'm Johnny Mack for Dennis Stokes and Initial Ascent. Be blessed, everybody. Freedom on. And as always, stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast and want to support the show, you can always like, share, subscribe, and leave a rating, as it helps us share our mission of mentorship is conservation. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of Soul Seekers Nation as we transform lives through primal adventure. If you want to get more connected with the podcast, check out the Soul Seekers Nation Facebook group, as I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. So stay tuned and stay soulful.